10x digital transformation playbook. The episode is called In the Grill for a reason.
Why do customers get frustrated at us? They exclude from the room anyone who didn't speak honestly, openly, and clearly. There's a button that people can press that has two outcomes, and nothing against consultants. The Robin Hood guys were gamers.
On what are your data dependencies, what are your system dependencies, what are your ecosystem dependencies?
Because you'll build crap. Because it's irrelevant.
No, but see, Ned, we have to solve for this, right?
Your dependencies are going to create half-assed tech, and then you justify it.
Seamlessly invest with no cognitive load.
You want 10x return, or you want a 70% fail rate? Men want it for long, hard, arduous journey. Minimal food, minimal pay, great danger, successful, return, doubtful.
By the new guy being on the pedestal and looking down on people. Finding the path of least resistance to most revenue.
We absolutely ignore what the banks charge. Our industry is so hard to understand what it costs.
I'm going to come across as the devil on this chat.
Sure. That wasn't our problem to fix. I'm out. I can't fix that problem.
Hi, welcome back to another episode of In the Grill with Janice. We are still with Ned Phillip, who has done an amazing episode 1 where we talked about fixing wealth tech. Guys, very raw episode. Not what you want to hear, but what you need to. So we are going to continue on this journey. And what we are going to do is we are going to flip the table on Ned. Right now, we talked about him from an outside perspective. Now we are going to deliver what we call as the 10x digital transformation playbook. And we are going to put him in a position where we are going to give him a project, a digital transformation project. We are going to go step by step into that. The episode is called In the Grill for a reason,
Let's go.
So before we move forward, I do want to give some credit. In structuring this episode, this part of the episode, I referred to Dr. Dennis's book. Here it is. TAP, the All Digital Future Playbook. Sorry, guys. I should have known the name before I said.
So good.
Yeah, but I must tell, this is not a paid promotion. He has not asked me to do this. I was looking at how to structure thoughts around the 10x playbook. This is a concept, right? We are talking about it. So I really benefited a lot from this book. He was on the podcast about, a year and a half ago. We'll link it in the comments, etc. somewhere. So absolutely watch that. But, amazing gentleman to talk to, delivered UOB tomorrow. Let's go, let's fix this. Let's deliver the 10x digital transformation playbook. Ned, let's start. How would you define a 10x outcome in digital transformation? Let's start with that.
And I want to make sure we have the boundaries correct. Have I been granted, am I working at a financial institution?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm head of digital transformation?
You can be head of anything you want now.
Understood. And it is for wealth tech particularly.
Wealth tech, you choose. Do you want to build an RM tool or do you want to build a DIY platform?
That's
Choose
a great
DIY
question.
platform. I have my questions around
Let's
it.
go down DIY. Because
I'm joking,
there's
I'm
a
joking.
little, no, but it's important. It's important. Okay, a DIY platform. All right.
Okay,
Let's
so
go.
you're building a DIY platform now.
Yep.
How would you describe a 10x outcome? In 2025, 70 to 95% transformations don't deliver.
Yep.
Banks are burning billions of trillions of dollars on this,
Yep.
etc. Let's define a 10x outcome first. What do you, in your head, would be a 10x outcome for digital transformation?
The revenue that we receive from wealth goes up 10 times.
That is the 10x. Okay. So now let's structure this discussion in 4 parts. Customers, capabilities, talent, resources, and business. All of them would come together for you to have a viable 10x business outcome, 10x the revenue, right? Talk to us. You are the head of retail now. Talk to us in 2025. How are you going to go and build a DIY platform? Identify the customer segment. How are you going to go and let's start with that. How are you going to identify the customer segment first?
Everyone, if we got together within let's just call it the bank.
The bank.
Most of us know what piece of our technology sucks. We'll just start with that. Why do customers get frustrated at us? Is it onboarding? Is it the lack of trading into a different country? Is it that we don't have the right wealth offering? And I would just internally gather a group of people, and I would exclude from the room anyone who didn't speak honestly, openly, and clearly. So if you came and said, I think it's all great, right? That's no good. Okay. The next thing I would then do before I go to customers is find somebody who knows nothing about our system and show it to them. And I would record their face and I would give it to them. And I would say, this is what we have right now. Play with it. And if they have great delight and joy through the whole experience, then they're all good. The most likely thing is that they don't, right? We have a non-enjoyable digital experience. And I would then go to our customers, and not in the way that I think most people do. I would literally, myself, so I would not send out a survey. I would literally go in the streets. So let's just say I work at a very big bank and everyone knows us, and I would stop people in the street. I myself, as Ned, say, hey, do you use the bank's wealth offering? No. Do you know who? Do you? And I'd ask them, why don't you use it? Oh, well, I don't think you have an app or something's wrong. And if I found who did use it, I would listen super intently to what they say. And I would almost not listen to anybody else. You don't do digital transformation by getting a team and talking about it. Anybody who's worked at the bank for a long period of time, if they knew what they do, they would have fixed it. So let's start. We are customers of the bank. We know what's wrong. Straight up, we know what's wrong. We then watch somebody who's never used it on a video or in real life, play with it and see what happens. And then we go in the streets. No survey. No one's going to tell you the truth in a survey. We walk in the streets and we stop people and we go, do you know what we offer? Do you have any wealth? Because a digital transformation means something is wrong. If nothing was wrong, would be net promoter score of 100. Everybody would love us.
Yeah.
How many people love their banks? It's getting better. Let's face it. It's getting better. But that's what I would start with. And incredibly clear. How long would I take to do that? A week? I'd have done it a week. No longer. Must be done in 1 week. Just to start.
Just to start. You have described, who is using it, why people are not using it. You know the first principle problem, you have defined it.
Yeah.
What's going to be next?
Okay.
Step 2.
Step 2. We make a decision. Okay. Before we make a decision, are we going to build it or is someone helping us build it? Okay. And when I say build it, from step 1, we have an outline of what we want to build. Okay. Pretty high level, but what we want to build. And I want to know that we have one killer feature. Like the simplest, one of the great tech guys I spoke to said, you know what you need to build? Is a button that people can press that has 2 outcomes, yes or no. There's no confusion there. I want to build a button that says yes or no. Invest, don't invest, or whatever it might be. The second step is, okay, if we are not clear about what we want to build, who do we bring into this room? And to reference our previous conversation, I would go and look, and nothing against consultants, nothing against them at all, but I think I would go and look for somebody, a startup, or someone who's really built this before, who really knows what it is. There's a reason that OpenAI paid Johnny Ive $1 billion to rock up and say hello. The reason they paid Johnny Ive $1 billion is dude knows what to build. Could I have enough money? You haven't told me how much budget I have, but I'm going to assume I have enough budget. Who's the greatest wealth tech builder there is? Let's say I have a lot of budget. A little bit of history. I met Robinhood 10 years ago. I nearly took the job to run their international business. Wish I had. The Robinhood guys were gamers. They weren't finance people. They were gamers. And when they built Robinhood, they looked at it as gamers. That's why the system's great. Because they're not finance people selling ETFs and mutual funds. Let's think about this. Nobody wakes up in the morning and thinks, hey, I'd like to buy a balanced equity portfolio today. You just don't. You wake up and want a better financial life. Who understands clients deeply enough to come in the room and go, we're building what clients want.
Beautiful answer. You have stepped into the second part of this capabilities. Now, let me ask you a question. Direct, hard-hitting question. Why would you go to a vendor or a partner first and not do a system analysis on what are your data dependencies, what are your system dependencies, what are your ecosystem dependencies? Because more projects get derailed on that rather than the vendors or partners' ability to build it. Now you're in the same position. You might put the guy in the same position as, some people put you in. Why not go and do that first?
Because you'll build crap. Because it's irrelevant. Because the systems in your bank have no relevance. Do you think any customer cares about what your data hierarchy is? Do you think any customer cares about who your custodian is? I know it's reality, but you're giving me an imaginary world where I 10x. Hey, we only have one thought here. Will the customer love what we build?
Yeah.
Infrastructure be damned.
No, but see, Ned, we have to solve for this, right? Because even though this scenario is imaginary, somebody watching this should go back and say, you know what? I want to build, let's say, this XYZ, and I will get Bamboo to build it. But when Bamboo comes in, half of your tech doesn't support fractional shares, your custodian doesn't support it, your data is not in the right place, etc. Why wouldn't you start with that first?
Because it's the roundabout way of doing it. I understand there's realities. Okay, we don't have fractional shares. Okay. I would almost, and again, how many customers think in lot sizes? How many customers think in unit sizes? They don't. They think in money. I have $100, invest $100. That's not their problem. They have $100, want to invest. As part of a digital transformation, if you're telling me there are certain things we don't have, I'm just going to build it. I'm just going to build it. We're having fractional shares. Don't tell me we can't. We're having fractional shares. Why? Not because I have an ego and I believe I'm right. Let's just get down to basics. How many customers, again, wake up and think, I'd like to buy 1 unit of a mutual fund? They don't. They want $1,000.
Yeah.
So solve for that. Your dependencies are going to create this half-assed tech, and then you justify it. Yep, we build what we could. And that's why it's not 10x, and that's why it fails, because you're starting in the wrong place.
Yeah. Now, beautiful place. This is exactly where we want to be. Because now we want a 10x outcome.
Of course.
But we are going to be held back.
Yes.
Let's talk through this. You're very right. A customer comes in and says, I have an extra $1,000.
Yep.
Which I want to seamlessly invest with no cognitive load.
That's a great phrase. 100%.
Great phrase, right? We get Bamboo in. You and I are in the bank, right? Now, Bamboo comes in and says, $1,000 of, let's say, QQQ ETF, that is the top of my head, would mean every month it would be a different unit.
Of course.
And, you start that project. Where will Bamboo hit its first problem? Your middle office cannot handle a fractional number.
Yeah, then sack the middle office. Spin them all immediately.
Your back office cannot use a fractional number.
Yeah.
Now we are talking about open heart surgery.
Open heart surgery.
Yeah.
Rip it out.
You are a bank now, right? Your bank has a regulatory need to keep assets at a banking custodian.
Sure.
Your banking custodian doesn't have fractional.
Change custodian.
Your broker, because these are big brokers, right? They don't support
I understand.
Fractional.
I understand. There's no so there is the amount of times the regulatory constraint does not match with regulatory reality. Hey, the regulator doesn't allow us. Guys, hold on. And I'm not going to throw anything at the regulators. There's people trading crypto out here, people. If you're trading crypto, you can do fractional equities.
Yeah.
Do not tell me today, just a little outtake, 2017, I go to the Singapore Fintech Festival. I went every year. Ravi Menon stands on stage, and it's 2017. Behind him in huge letters on a huge digital display. He's on stage talking about cloud infrastructure. You know what it said? It says the MAS has no objection to the cloud, comma, whatsoever. I don't think you can be any clearer. This is the head of the MAS saying we have no objection to the cloud whatsoever. A year later, banks were saying, yeah, I'm not sure if we're allowed on the cloud. And I sit there, I'm like, no, I'm sure. I'm very, very sure. Now, I understand. It's easy for me to say, rip out the middle office. And people are like, no, stop. Guys, you want 10x return or you want a 70% fail rate? You choose.
Yeah.
You choose.
Listen, Rob, this is such an amazing conversation because we are now both in the same shoe as like a transformation officer. Now, because we have started with this 10x return, now we are going to come back. Now, what would have been like a front-end project? And guys, this is the reality of it. For a wealth tech guy, for us, we are, invest tech, etc., is that everybody starts with this objective that it will be a front-end project. And it gets to a point where now it is no longer a front-end project.
Of course.
It is no longer a front-end only project. It is now a rip and replace of the middle, back, the custodian, and the broker.
If they can't do what the customer needs.
Yeah, in this scenario, let's just assume
100%.
So look at the complexity that has gone
100%.
in. And what is this? The idea of this episode is like, Ned, we are now transparently showing both sides.
Sure.
That an entrepreneur who has been on the other side is now on this side, and he's also now seeing the same things. Is that we said, okay, why are the customers not using it? The customer said, I have cognitive load. You make me do so many steps. I want to invest every month on my own. Great start. You got it, one-on-one feedback, great segmenting, everything is great. You come back to a wealth tech, now you are like, I'm the chief transformation officer. I need you to build everything that around this. You tell me how to build this. In a month, I don't perform, you can fire your client, which
Correct.
is from our previous episode. Now they come back and they say, you know what? The easiest way to do this is going to be an auto debit, which is easily doable. But what will happen is that because these guys want to invest into equities and ETFs directly, and they want to accumulate a portfolio, every month $1,000 will mean a different number. So there is going to be a fractional element to it. Now this fractional element for you go back and you talk to your back office, middle office, etc. And they're like, can't do it. But you still have the mandate to build 10x. Your CEO says, okay, you know what? Let's go and do this. This is paradoxical.
It is.
You will not be able to do what we just asked in the last episode, that do everything in a month. So now you have scope. Now, this scope for this guy's waiting, your scope has crept a lot. And now we are in this position. Now, see, this is a great place.
Sure.
How would you solve it? We have to solve it because our outcome is 10x.
I'll solve it.
So how do we solve for this now?
I'll solve it.
Yes.
The famous phrase skunkworks, right? I think everyone either does or does not know what skunkwork means.
Explain.
A skunkworks is a band of rebels who build something in a vacuum. They ignore the infrastructure. And I do not mean they ignore the bank, but they ignore the realities of, hey, this is your limitation. Skunk work means you go into another room, you shut the door, but like this podcast studio, a dark room, and you think, how do we achieve? So I have thought about this. So you say in 1 month, I got to get something worth 10x. I say, fine, I will sign on, and I'm just going to put a fractional broker and custodian. There's a lot out there, right? I will go to a fractional broker and custodian of the new digital age and say, hey, I'm building in a vacuum for one of the world's biggest banks. I want to show them that we can 10x revenue. Now, we're not going to 10x revenue in a month.
No, obviously you have a runway, right?
Yeah, but here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show them that we can onboard customers 10 times quicker than they can. We're going to have a 10 times better NPS. And you know what I want you to build? I want you to build one screen, one button, one thing. Invest now, yes, no, click, click, that's it. Let's go. And people will say, oh, it's not integrated to our middle office. Every bank has APIs to a customer's account, right? And I go to the CEO of the bank and say, you know what I need? I just need API access to the customer's accounts, because I don't need them to tell me, with a 2FA, but come on, we can do that quickly. We're not in the Stone Ages now. So I can get access to the customer's account. We can show that customer account in there. And the new app has no cognitive load. Hey, would you like to invest $1,000 every month? Yes, click. Middle and back office has it. We keep it in a separate brokerage. Sure, there's going to be some spewing. People are going to be like, oh my God, it's a different broker. It is because that. Fine. I can show you that customers love it more. And if I can't, fire me. Totally cool. Let's go. But I would not sit around and wait for the infrastructure to stop us doing what I hate to say what I know, because that's always very strong, what I believe customers want. So I think you have to accept that if the boat won't change, if the huge oil tanker of a bank that's slowly going this direction, you scale down the side on your ropes, you jump in a little boat, you grab stuff, and you try to get ahead of them as hard as you can. And when you do that, you turn around and say, this is what customers want, not what I want. This is what customers want.
Amazing. And I'll tell you, because I was about to use the speedboat as, a metaphor, that you are building a speedboat now.
Yeah.
So start with the 10x outcome.
Yep.
Go talk to the customers.
Yep.
Find a partner who you think can build this.
Yep.
When you run this as a speedboat, so you are free from all the shackles of, your tech debt.
Yep.
Let's just put it,
Yep.
tech and ops debt.
Yep.
Great part. Now you're driving this now. People.
Mm-hmm.
In all the transformation, I think people underestimate the people aspect of it.
Mm.
I feel that very strongly.
Sure.
Now, all of this is in play. So what you are now doing is you are potentially making... There are people whose job depends on inertia of the bank. You're taking them from there into a place where they'll be exposed. How would you set this up? People, first of all, what talent would you need on this? That is one. Two, how would you structure that talent? And three, how would you, set this whole thing up? You are now we are talking about a very, very moonshot idea, right? So how will we structure? So let's start with one. What people do you think you will need to do this?
Sure. And but to confirm, to say again, we're looking for a 10x thing here, right?
Exactly. Moonshot 10x revenue.
Which is a lot better than 70, this half-baked POC digital transformation that 70% fails. So let's just assume we're not hiring new people. We're trying to get people from the bank. Let's just say that, all right? I don't know if you've ever read, or I'm sure you've seen the Ernest Shackleton job advert?
No.
Okay. So, and I must have posted 10 times about this on LinkedIn. So anybody who's seen it, please forgive me. So Ernest Shackleton was the greatest adventurer from the UK in 1914. He wanted to explore the Arctic on a boat. And this is not for the faint of heart. This is not, we're in our brand new Gore-Tex and got everything. This is 1910. And he put an advert in the Times of London, and it's very famous. So anybody just Google Ernest Shackleton advert. Now, for the time, the advert said men wanted. Of course, back then, it was men who went on it. Of course, this is people wanted. But what his advert said was men wanted for long, hard, arduous journey. Minimal food, minimal pay, great danger, successful return, doubtful. In case of return, great honor is afforded. Please apply. And he got thousands of people who applied. And what they were told was, and it also said long hours of darkness, great danger, long hour of darkness, guaranteed cold, no food, minimal wages, doubtful you'll come home alive. But if you do, great recognition. You write that job advert for today. Hey, guys, you see, and you know what? I've thought about this. You know what I'd write? You see that dusty room over there that no one's in? You come in there and I'm locking the door for a month. And when we come out, we build something. You don't want any part of that? Fine. Will it probably fail? Yeah. Will you get laughed at? Sure. Could you get fired? 100%. You want to come in that room? Let's go. Everyone else? Sorry, not bothered. Let's go. And that will divide people, because if you're just there to save your job, and hey, I've worked at a bank, no shame. And let's be clear. If I was 58 still at a bank, I'd be one of those guys protecting my job. So no shame. I get it. It is. We all have our realities. But I think you need people with a twisted sense of reality that they can, can we really deliver 10x? Probably not. You willing to give it a shot? Yeah. Getting paid more for it? No. You're going to work twice as hard? Yes. You want to come in that room? Yeah. Let's go. And of course, I need tech people. I need marketing people. But you know what I really need? I need people with utter burning killer desire to be in that room. Because when I say, and who else do I want in that room? The people. When I say to the vendor, hey, you see that room? Like literally, we're going in for a month. Now, of course, we go home, but we're going in for a month. You don't want to be in that room. Don't be coming in here.
Yep.
This is hard stuff. So it's the Shackleton advert. That's who I want. Skill set wise, I don't really care.
Great answer. Even with the parallel speedboat, everything, you are going to run into people again.
Sure.
Who are in inertia for reasons good or bad.
Of course, I get it.
How would you deal with them?
It's a great point. With love, with kindness, with belief, with great energy, with great motivation, and tell them, look, I get it. This sounds weird and wild, and it'll probably fail. And I think I am who I am. I like to smile. I like to believe.
Yeah.
There is no, I always tell myself, there's no politics at any organization. Everybody goes home and watch Netflix at the end of the day.
Yep.
No one wakes up in the morning and thinks, I'd like to create confusion in here. What I would say to people who would say this get in the way, I was like, I get it. Just give me the opportunity. And I'm going to do this in a month, or I'm not. And if I'm wrong, as you know, I love running. And there's an ultra runner called David Roche. He always puts out great big scary goals. Great. And he always says, I put it out with love and kindness. And I know you don't think I can do it. And I know you think you laugh. And he has a phrase, it's not what you're hearing, it's what you heard. What he means is, people are like, it's not going to work. It's what you heard. What you heard is, it's okay. Some people don't believe. And we say to them, I understand why you don't believe. It's totally fine. And if I can do anything to make it easier for you, I'm absolutely here to do it. But I have a belief we can try. And if it doesn't work, it's totally fine. So it's not what you're hearing, it's what you heard. And what I heard is, try to do this 10x.
Yeah, and I'll tell you that in all the transformations I've been, and there is a very good point that you made here. And I think I don't know if you realize that a lot of times when transformations start in large organization, they start by the new guy being on the pedestal and looking down on people.
Yeah, that's
It does.
I know, of course. Sure.
And when I am running things and when I have the authority of this, I tell people that you have to start from a place of respect.
Of course.
You have to respect the decisions that were made back then. There were constraints which are different. They might be fighting a different battle, etc. So rather than going and saying, you build shit, I am the God that is going to deliver stuff. You have to start from the point of, why did you take the decisions you took?
Yeah.
And that completely changes the equation. And I was sitting with somebody and, in my day job, I was the first exec hire here.
Yeah.
I was doing so much stuff, literally so much stuff. I was running in Australia, New Zealand, India, everywhere. I was traveling for 5 weeks, etc. And there was this lead that had come in from Philippines. And so now we've hired a guy. And this was like one big bank, etc. And he came to me and he's like, they said they reached out to us and you did not respond. And I know that, you respond to like everything at every point of time. Why did you not respond? it completely changed. I was not defensive. If he came to me and said, you did not respond to this, yeah, because this is also a transformation, you're scaling things, etc.
Yeah.
And I realized and this realization came to me at that discussion. And I said, listen, mate, I was fighting a different battle. There are 75 people now. I was alone. I was finding the path of least resistance to most revenue.
It's a great phrase.
And we laughed. I'm a growth guy, right?
Oh,
I have to find the path of... And we both laughed and he said, yeah, so I get it. I'm like, you know what? We are both going to work on this and I'm going to go and apologize to this client that I was not as as responsive as I had to be.
Sure.
Because I had my constraints.
Sure.
We did it. We have still not won the client. If you're hearing, please, my sales guy has not done anything wrong. You should sign up. So, but when you start from a point of respect, like what you did.
Sure.
Why did we take these decisions? Why did we sign up with this broker dealer? Why did we this? It brings people's energy back into this.
There's nothing worse than in a digital transformation. It's the basic thing. I don't know. You don't know. None of us know. Together, can we know? Yeah.
Yeah.
We can maybe know. And at the time, it's a bit like bamboo. Did I take the decisions I thought were right at the time? I did. Did some of them turn out to be wrong? Yes. Why did they take those decisions? Because I thought at the time they were the best decisions. And for everyone who works at a bank, why did they implement that broker that now seems like the wrong decision? Because at the time, given the information, that was the right decision.
Yeah.
Totally fine.
And am I allowed to quote you on this?
Anything.
So once Ned he was interviewing, like he was in an interview and he told somebody, I had to choose between two bad choices.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah. So I recall all of this. You have inspired so many of us. So great. We have set this up, started with client insights, got a great partner. We're building a speedboat. We have gotten people, we've told them this is going to get rough, strap in or jump now. We have built a rapport with the legacy team, let's just call it that. And listen, guys, we're building this. Maybe we'll fail, but help us out.
Yep.
If we fail, we are gone. You are right.
Yep.
Now comes the most interesting part. Our goal is 10x revenue.
Yep.
Talk to us how you're going to go about now. This is all capability. None of this is revenue right now. You are still digital transformation.
Yeah.
That is the goal. How are you going to price it out? How are you going to look at charging, etc.? All of that aspect of it. How are you going to do that? Because that is the end objective.
Of course. You mean charging to the customer? How do we decide? Sure. So I'll tell you how I know. Before I tell you the pricing, I'll tell you how I know if what we've built is right and if the pricing is right. And let's just use this cycle of a month. I like this idea of a month. Every month, we will produce one and one feature only, one button and one button only. We are not building a platform. There's a single feature that we believe clients will use. And in month one client uses it. In month two, if 2 clients uses it, we carry on. If less than 2 use it, we shut it. 2, 4, 8, 16. Any month that it doesn't grow by double, we shut it cold-heartedly until we get to a certain point where it makes money. How much do we charge for that? We absolutely ignore what the banks charge in general. Why? Again, you've got to look at a customer and say, okay, so if you said to a customer, I'll invest $1,000 every month for you, right? And it will cost you not a percentage of AUM. I'm going to make it so easy to understand. Understanding my costs too, so we've got to be profitable, 100%. I would try to make it so understandable that when I asked a group of 100 people, do you understand my pricing? Every single person said yes. And I still make margin. Because you know one of the biggest problems in wealth tech today? Yeah, we charge a percentage of AUM. Pardon? It's what? And we have like a trailer fee and a wrapper fee. You know why the industry? We've messed ourselves up. Our industry is so hard to understand what it costs. So how do we decide what it costs? And this is one thing the banks are not going to love. I'm trying to do 10x revenue. All of your attributed costs, your fixed costs, your costs for finance, let's not push that all to the customer to start with. What did it cost to build this new application? $1 million, whatever. How much do we need to get to in what time period to make that profitable? $1 million. How many customers is our total addressable market? It's this big. How many do you think we will get? This many. How much do we have to charge them to get there? That much. We put it out. If the customers are sick at the price, we realize it's too much. If the customers handle the price, it's great. And we go from there. We do not. I think, wealth tech is broken. Why? Our industry is so hard to understand. Go into the street. So I have a mutual fund and I charge you an AUM percentage on that. You understand that. 99% of planet Earth have no idea what you're talking about. I charge a price that makes a profit over the long term that provides a service, and we charge it in plain English.
Okay. I'm going to come across as the devil on this chat now.
Sure.
Great idea. Let's put it in perspective. You're still the chief transformation officer, right? Now, what will happen is you report back to the CEO, 10x revenue. Your wealth guys who have been seeing this, your head of wealth management, you're separate from them. They will come and they will say, all of this volume that you're doing, I have one RM who's putting this through. How are you going to manage the CEO? And how are you going to guide them towards doing the KPIs for you and telling that it is okay if an RM can put more trades than this?
Sure.
Talk about that.
Yeah, that's a great point. Mr. CEO, if you're listening, the RM is a dying business. Make a choice. Your RM, of course, there's a superstar RM who's doing $1 billion, $10 billion turnover. Fantastic. Good luck to the dude. I'm nothing against that. That wasn't our problem to fix. Do I think RMs will be relevant in 20 years' time? I do not. Do I think there'll be a few superstars? I do. You asked me to fix a different problem. If you don't want this problem fixed, it's totally fine. And I would use an analogy. So I nearly joined Robinhood 10 years ago. When I met Robinhood, and I told people, I met this company that's going to charge $0 for brokerage. Everyone laughed. I did not join them because I laughed at their business model. They were very clear. Their business model was to make money elsewhere, on the FX fees, on selling the flow, on the margin spread. If you know the business, you know how Robinhood make money, right?
Yeah. I'm under constraint to say anything around that. Yeah.
I understand that. But they redefined an industry by taking a completely different look. And Robinhood's getting into the RM game, right? It's very, very clear. I would say to the CEO, hey, you want 10x. I get that. I get it. And that RM, he's a superstar. Love the dude. Let's go. But he's playing cricket. I'm playing football or whatever. We're playing two different games. So if the Wells team says he can do more, yeah, you're right. You have any other questions? I'm building something different over here. And in the same way, I'll do it incredibly, that didn't sound respectful. Hey, I have a singular job. 10x rev. I got to do some crazy stuff to get there. And it will take time. And this bank wasn't built in a day. Do you think that RM could sell if he walked out the door and was just doing it himself? I do not. So I say it again. I always have a belief. You say everything with love and kindness and a smile. But my reality is you have to fix your long-term revenue problem by taking great, big, bold. And I'll be honest. And again, I've learned at 50 out to say what I say. If the CEO said that and stuck with that, I'd say, that's cool, dude. I'm out. I can't fix that problem. You want me to fix this problem? Let's go.
So this is the 10x digital transformation playbook, guys. They absolutely love the candidness of some of it is some of the advice is like I can go back in and I can implement today, and some of it requires a little bit money in the bank.
We have built an imaginary world.
Yes.
And just to say, a lot of what I said, people be like, that's ridiculous. You can't do that. Do you think when Airbnb launched, it wasn't ridiculous? Do you think when Uber launched, it was ridiculous? Do you think when many great firms launched, did it seem ridiculous? 100%.
Yep.
You got to do some ridiculous stuff.
No, I agree with you. And, for a 10x outcome, because this premise is about going 10x. And, in this discussion, the only thing I would add is like when we have that, define what the milestone would be very clearly.
100%.
Because
100%.
What happens is there are essentially two challenges today in the banking world. Everybody's looking like this.
Yeah, sure.
It is very hard to make people look like this.
Sure.
That is the big challenge.
Sure.
But when everybody is looking at the big picture outside, it is very hard to make them start small.
Yeah, sure.
Think big, start small. With that is what I will end this episode with. Guys, we have 2 more episodes. This has been an amazing chat. I know some of these concepts are outliers, but you know what? That is what the intent of this is. What if we could build a 10x outcome with no constraints, or with constraints, and how do we manage them? So Ned, thank you so much for that.
Appreciate it.
And guys, do check in part 3. We are going to now solve the growth problem of B2B fintechs. It is going to get really interesting. Both of us are very passionate about growth.
Yes, I am.
And then we are going to do a new segment called Fire in the Grill. And we'll make a special announcement afterwards. Ned doesn't know about it. We are going to tell him later. Check back for episode 3 and 4. Thank you.